Ryan Reynolds' relationship with Blake Lively is under a lot of speculation now that they are in an intense legal battle with Justin Bell.
What does it mean to be working with Blake again?
Oh my God.
Thank you so much.
Reports suggest Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are no longer sailing smoothly, with their marriage showing cracks just as the "It Ends With Us" lawsuit dominates headlines. For many, this wasn't a shocking twist but more of an inevitable turn, as whispers of strain in their picture-perfect romance had been circulating for months. Those whispers turned into something harder to dismiss when Blake made a striking solo appearance at the Another Simple Favor premiere in Austin, Texas. The red carpet moment, meant to spotlight her upcoming project, quickly raised eyebrows for an entirely different reason. Ryan was nowhere to be seen. In a relationship that has thrived on playful public displays and joint appearances, his absence felt out of place, even deliberate. To fans who had long seen them as Hollywood's most unshakable duo, the silence of that missing partner was louder than any rumor.
Does it matter if I do that? Okay, I just it's kind of dead. Can I say?
Blake made her entrance in a daring latex dress, signaling she was ready to reclaim the spotlight. Later, she transitioned into a more refined look, a flowing peach-toned coat trimmed in silver, paired with tailored pants. A crisp white t-shirt and sleek pointed heels tied the outfit together, but it was her accessory that stole attention. A Judith Lieber martini-shaped clutch, valued at nearly $6,000. Decorated with a bright lemon charm, it cleverly echoed her character Emily Nelson's signature martini in a simple favor. Matching jewelry completed the ensemble, projecting a confident, polished image. But that carefully composed facade faltered almost instantly. At the entrance, a protester stood in plain sight wearing a shirt that read "Blake lied," and hoisting a bold sign demanding justice for Justin Baldoni. The message cut straight through the glamour, a blunt reminder that the "It Ends With Us" controversy was far from forgotten. Inside, the tension only deepened. Blake's interactions with her co-stars carried a noticeable stiffness, the kind of unease that even cameras couldn't disguise.
Anna, what does it mean to be working with Blake again?
Oh my God.
Thank you so much.
When a reporter casually asked Anna Kendrick what it was like working with Blake, the response caught everyone off guard. Anna's answer was short, almost clipped, and it carried a weight that hinted at something deeper, an undercurrent of tension that couldn't be ignored. Her tone may have been polite on the surface, but the coolness behind it spoke volumes. That moment set the tone for the rest of the evening. Despite sharing the spotlight at the premiere, Anna and Blake kept their distance, carefully avoiding any joint photo opportunities. The only time they were seen together was in a single, formal group shot with the film's director, an obligatory pose that did little to hide the frostiness between them. For many, it was the most public sign yet that whatever had been brewing privately was now spilling onto the red carpet.
Sure, thank you. What I hear is that it's not just Blake, it's Anna. The fact, yes, they hate each other. They hate each other. And from what I'm hearing, the sequel was a nightmare. A nightmare is what I heard. Was the word chosen. And now this is a source I trust who gave me a source.
Later in the evening, the contrast between Blake and Anna became even harder to ignore. The two were spotted standing side by side as Blake animatedly described her experience filming in Capri, Italy. While Blake spoke with her usual enthusiasm, Anna kept her gaze fixed downward, offering no response and no attempt to join the conversation. Her silence was louder than words. Online viewers were quick to dissect the moment, pointing out Anna's tense posture, lack of eye contact, and visible discomfort. Social media lit up with side-by-side clips, many calling it a textbook example of strained body language. To long-time followers of the cast, it wasn't a surprise. It felt like just another chapter in a feud that had been simmering quietly for years, now slipping further into public view.
Obviously, Sean's like already in a little bit of a rough place at the beginning of this story, and certainly things happen, and it gets a little outraged.
The unease Anna Kendrick displayed on the red carpet likely traces back to years of behind-the-scenes friction with Blake Lively. Their feud didn't suddenly appear with the Baldoni lawsuit. It had roots stretching back long before, though the controversy certainly made it worse. Insiders point to 2018, when Anna and Blake first worked together on the set of A Simple Favor. At that time, Anna only knew Blake in passing, mostly through her husband Ryan Reynolds during his work on The Voices. From a distance, Blake seemed warm and approachable. But working side by side painted a very different picture. Blake wasn't the type to simply show up, read her lines, and trust the director's vision. She routinely inserted herself into decisions well beyond her role, offering input on wardrobe, pushing for script changes, and often positioning herself as the authority across multiple departments. At first, her involvement could be mistaken for passion and dedication. Yet, as filming went on, the pattern became clear. Blake wasn't just invested. She thrived on being the center of every conversation to keep the project moving. Most of the cast went along with it. But by the time the cameras stopped rolling, many, including Anna, were more than ready to walk away, hoping the experience would be a one-time ordeal.
My husband Ryan, several years ago, so I met Blake a few times through Ryan on that film.
Got it.
And thought she seemed nice, and little did I know.
When Anna Kendrick first crossed paths with Blake Lively, it was only in passing, through Ryan Reynolds during the filming of The Voices. From that distance, Blake came across as charming enough. But once Anna found herself working directly with her on A Simple Favor, the dynamic shifted dramatically. Blake wasn't content to stick to her lines and trust the process. Instead, she weighed in on nearly every detail: costume design, script adjustments, even creative choices that traditionally belonged to the director or department heads. At first, the cast read it as enthusiasm, a sign of deep commitment. But as filming wore on, it became clear Blake simply enjoyed steering the spotlight in her direction, no matter the cost. By the end of production, most co-stars, including Anna, were quietly relieved to move on. Then, in 2022, Blake's own words seemed to confirm what many had experienced. At Forbes' Power Women Summit, she admitted that acting alone never fulfilled her. She wanted control, creative input in every corner of a project. Blake even acknowledged that producers and directors often resented what she called her bait-and-switch approach. Still, she dismissed the criticism, claiming she'd rather be labeled difficult than compromise her vision. For those who had worked with her before, none of this was surprising. But Anna hadn't expected to share another set with Blake so soon. When director Paul Feig announced a sequel to A Simple Favor, Anna was less than thrilled. The memories of Blake's spotlight-grabbing behavior resurfaced, including one particularly awkward press tour moment, when Blake joked she'd never get to be a Disney princess without Anna's singing voice. Only to later demand the interviewer shift attention back to her. Anna's sarcastic response, "Oh Muffin, it's so hard being you," hinted at the tension beneath the surface. Both actresses managed to stay civil, at least until cameras rolled on the sequel in 2024. That's when the first major clash broke out, a battle over who would receive top billing.
Want to trade confessions?
No.
Come on. What's the wildest thing you've ever done?
Eventually, neither side walked away fully satisfied. The compromise they reached was more of a truce than a victory, a reluctant agreement that barely concealed the competitive undertone between the two actresses. It was yet another sign that their working relationship was becoming less about collaboration and more about control.
Now that it's a function on Twitter and Instagram, there's a couple people that I have muted.
Good.
Yeah.
In the end, the billing war concluded with what Hollywood calls staggered billing. On posters and credits, Anna's name would still appear first, but Blake's would sit slightly higher, off to the right. It's a technical compromise known as equal billing, though in reality, it left both women frustrated. Neither walked away happy, but both signed off to keep the production moving. Ordinarily, a dispute like this might have stayed hidden behind studio doors. But the Justin Baldoni controversy threw gasoline on the fire. Suddenly, Anna's frustration had less to do with billing and more with Blake's reputation bleeding into the project. When Anna shared a promotional poster for A Simple Favor 2, the supportive messages she had grown used to were replaced with hostile comments. Some accused Ryan Reynolds of rewriting scenes as a dig at Baldoni. Others bluntly refused to watch anything connected to Blake, posting comments like, "Nope. Sorry, Anna. I can't support a film with her in it." For someone like Anna, who avoids scandal at all costs, the backlash was crushing. Promoting the film became nearly impossible. To make matters worse, Blake never reached out with so much as an apology. Instead, she stayed silent, leaving Anna and the rest of the cast to handle the fallout alone, as one insider put it bluntly. She owes Anna an apology. She owes all of them an apology. If the roles were reversed, Anna would never let the entire film take the hit for her personal mess.
Response to the rumor on X, formerly Twitter, saying, "This is total BS. Sorry, the movie is finished and coming out soon."
Director Paul Feig eventually stepped in, hoping to smooth things over by defending Blake. When a critic on social media suggested she had hijacked the film, Paul fired back quickly. "It's my cut. There is no other cut. Blake has been nothing but supportive, a dream to work with. She's the best, an incredible collaborator, and I'm her biggest fan. Just wanted to clear that up." His words painted a glowing picture, but the attempt to shift the narrative didn't land. Online reactions showed little change. Viewers continued to question Blake's role in the film's production, and the cloud of controversy refused to lift. By the time of the premiere, the backlash had reached a boiling point. Negative comments, a protest outside the event, and the constant shadow of the Baldoni lawsuit turned what should have been a celebratory night into a tense spectacle. For Anna Kendrick, it was the breaking point. Sources say she kept her distance from Blake entirely, avoiding interaction as if even standing beside her risked dragging her deeper into the scandal.
One more for the bald guy to your left. Here we go. Thank you.
Even Blake's co-stars couldn't hide their discomfort. One red carpet moment with actor Michelle was particularly telling. Cameras caught Blake glancing down to adjust the top of her strapless gown before laughing and making a quick remark in his direction. Michelle, clearly flustered, shifted away and gave a subtle hand gesture, almost as if to create space. Some observers suggested he looked wary, keen to avoid even the slightest chance of being dragged into the ever-expanding lawsuit drama surrounding Blake. Despite the tension, Blake did what she does best, put on a flawless performance for the cameras. On Instagram, she painted the premiere as pure magic, writing, "Making this movie was already a gift. Every element of it. To share it with you all and feel the love return to us was the best feeling. Thank you for having us, Austin." But behind the glittering caption, the cracks were impossible to ignore. Without Ryan Reynolds by her side, the partner who once made their Hollywood marriage look untouchable, Blake was left to face the storm alone. The fairy tale image she and Ryan had so carefully built now stood in stark contrast to the reality playing out under the spotlight.
It's hard not to love the movie because you guys are so beautiful to watch that I was just like...
Well, hello.
I was just like...
Everyone gains 10 points next to her.
Blake and Ryan's story began like something out of a rom-com, meeting on the set of Green Lantern in 2010, secretly marrying by 2012, and building the perfect family brand with 4 kids by 2023. 4 years, they projected nothing but playful banter and couple goals, swatting away every rumor with charm. But that glossy image is now cracking. The trouble reportedly started at Saturday Night Live's 50th anniversary. It was their first public outing since Justin Baldoni's lawsuit dropped, and while Blake tried to play the part of a glowing Hollywood wife in a floral gown, her eyes betrayed the tension. Ryan, tucked up as always, couldn't resist turning the moment into comedy. When asked the simple question, "How's it going?" he smirked and fired back, "Great. What did you hear?" The audience gave a nervous chuckle, but Blake's death glare said it all. This wasn't just an offhand joke. It was Ryan dragging their $400 million lawsuit into late-night punchline territory. Blake had spent months avoiding the spotlight, framing herself as a victim, while Ryan seemed determined to mock the scandal into submission. The Deadpool-style jokes aimed at Baldoni had already raised eyebrows, and SNL only poured gasoline on the fire. Even Baldoni's lawyer called Ryan's behavior shocking, noting he'd never seen a husband crack jokes about his wife's alleged harassment. The backlash was brutal. Only now it landed harder on Blake, fueling claims that her lawsuit was less about justice and more about revenge. Soon after, Ryan was nowhere to be seen at another Simple Favors premiere. Insiders say it wasn't coincidence. It was strategy. After the SNL fallout, the couple agreed he should bow out to protect his own career while hers hung in limbo. On paper it was damage control. To the public, it looked like the beginning of the end. The Hollywood fairy tale was starting to look more like a divorce headline in slow motion for years. Blake and Ryan sold the image of an inseparable duo. Blake once even said she liked Ryan as much as she loved him, that he was her best friend for life. But lately that bond looks strained. And some argue they have no one to blame but themselves, especially with the way Blake handled the Baldoni case. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni himself has peeled back the curtain on just how brutal this past year has been. On his Gent Talk podcast, recorded in late 2024 and aired in February 2025, he admitted the toll the lawsuit and its chaos had taken on his mental health. At 41, he confessed to waking at 4:30 a.m. with his heart racing, texting his closest friends that he just wasn't in a good place. Yes, he has the Hollywood success, but he admitted the emotional cost has been crushing, for both him and his family. Healing, he reminded listeners, isn't a straight line. It's a rare moment of raw honesty in a feud many dismissed as just another Hollywood spat. And it lands in sharp contrast to Blake and Ryan, whose PR-polished image now looks like it's fraying at the seams. The question is, are we watching a marriage in collapse, or just a messy legal and PR war playing out in real time? Could the fallout cost them not just their relationship, but their careers? One thing's certain, this isn't the fairy tale ending Hollywood expected. What do you think? Is this the unraveling of one of Hollywood's most high-profile marriages, or just another chapter in a celebrity scandal saga? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like, share and subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next update.